Welcome back. Welcome back.
You're so animated. It's hilarious.
Thanks.
We're just gonna do a blooper roll of all your blooper rule. We'll do one of that too. We'll blooper roll of all of your animations.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Because that's one of my guilty pleasures is just scrolling blooper rolls.
Yeah, I have really. I don't know how I got on this side of TikTok, but periodically I'll watch these videos of this guy who just goes up to his friend's Ring doorbell and just will start talking to him, and he'll be ranting about something, or he'll talk in the Ring doorbell and then enter his house and like take his dog for the day or something. And they're good friends. They're best friends, but it's just kind of funny because he's just so sassy, even though it's not the sassy gay best friend or anything like that. But he's just like, hey man, I miss you. I'm gonna take your dog for a while, or something like that. Or he'll go and eat his lunch on the porch and just talk to his buddy through his Ring doorbell. And I'm not saying that his friend is hiding in. I'm not saying his friend is hiding in the house.
Sure. I wonder if they're friends. Are they really friends?
I mean, he might be at work, or there was one where the best friend was like, I know you're hanging out with your wife tonight. I miss my bro. It's just so funny. But yeah.
I gotta admit, it is, I can go down the rabbit hole with TikToks or Reels if I'm not careful. I literally will have to look at the clock and go, 10 minutes. I'm doing 10 minutes of this, because if you don't, then 3 hours later you're still flipping it.
Well, that's part of the problem. I mean, they're kind of like your own little media casino, because you open up TikTok, you don't have a clock anymore.
No, you don't.
You got to get out to be able to see your clock.
Yeah.
Like casinos don't have windows, so you don't know what time of day it is. That's where I'm getting the link here. I promise. Follow me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Man, yeah. So if I'm giving myself a time limit, I'm getting out of TikTok for a second, setting an alarm, and then getting back in.
Yeah.
I mean,
you have to.
You have to be a functioning adult.
Yeah.
And then all those influencers. Have you been influenced by something on TikTok?
I don't think so. If I've been influenced, I'm not aware of being influenced.
Okay. All right.
I probably have been influenced, but I did, because remember I bought that computer stand.
Oh, that's right.
In the back, and that was she showed it to me, and she's like, "Oh, look, you can do 360, and you had to prop up him." And I was like, "Sold, buying 2 of them."
And I think they're both in storage right now, right?
I liked them. I didn't like them as much as I thought I would. You know what? I might like them better now, though, that I've got other. Now
that you have another keyboard.
Yeah, now that I have a second keyboard, because I didn't like the keyboard, the way the keyboard was. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I watch people like that go traveling and things like that, and they're totally fine walking around crowds with a camera in front of their face. And I just, I am a millennial, although there are plenty of millennials on TikTok, but I am a millennial, and so like part of me is like, I just don't know if I would be bold enough to walk around a crowd talking to a camera, saying things, but then I think, well, really, there's cameras everywhere, so I'm being watched in some way everywhere now. That's just our society.
It is, and certainly your generation is more aware of it than my generation, because my generation, I'm a baby boomer, and we don't even take pictures. I mean, we just like go and experience it and then leave and don't remember anything because we didn't take a picture. But yeah, if you think about it, and we certainly, that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is video and surveillance especially. But cameras are everywhere. So whether you're taking the picture, doing the video, walking around or not, you're probably being videotaped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah,
and especially kind of in the realm of what we're talking about today, but especially if you have a personal injury case.
Yes. More
than likely, you should just go ahead and expect that you're going to be watched closely.
Yeah.
So. But before you talk about any of your case examples on the plaintiff side, which you are now, your personal injury side, I want to hear like back in the day. You got any stories from back in the day of surveilling?
Yeah, I have plenty of stories from back in the day, and that's why I'm so adamant with warning my clients now, because I'm like, it doesn't have to be $1 million case for them to come and it's cheap now. It's really cheap to hire a PI to come and watch you for a day or watch you for 2 or 3 days. And the insurance company doesn't mind spending $1,000 to save themselves $50,000,
Yeah.
or whatever amount the other amount is. But, they can spend $1,000 and ruin your case. And so because of my work on the defense side, I know that, and I know that they don't mind doing it. And so, sure, plenty of my cases we did surveillance on. Did we always like what we found? No. But when you did, it was very beneficial to your case.
Yeah.
We had a case one time, or the one that sticks out to me, we had a case one time, and the plaintiff had alleged that he had a permanent back injury and couldn't do anything, couldn't walk, couldn't go to the grocery store, couldn't do anything, and so literally was homebound is what he was saying. And so we just hired a PI to follow him around, and we caught him going to the grocery store with his wife, and whenever they came out, he had a couple bags in his hand and she had a couple bags in her hand.
Oh, wow.
And like maybe that same day or a next day, because we don't know when people are going to do whatever they're going to do. So
Right.
maybe that same day or a next day, somebody pulled up in his front yard with in a pickup truck, and there was a bass boat in the back, and they come up there, and he walks out, comes down the steps, fine, no cane, no nothing, just him coming down the steps, helps the guy get the bass boat out of the back of the pickup truck.
Wow.
Moves it over, leans it up against some barn or something. And, they have a little chat outside, and the guy leaves. And that sounds so simple, but for someone who claims that they are permanently injured and basically homebound, that's a problem.
And they were claiming a back injury, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, at that point, if we're going to use that at trial, then we have to show it to the other side, because that's some of our evidence. We have to share our evidence. And so this fella happened to be a Sunday school teacher.
No. No.
So
Caught in a lie as a Sunday school teacher.
And he had invited his entire class to be witnesses at his trial, to testify that he was telling the truth about his back injury.
Oh, so it's kind of like a character
Yeah,
witness
they were all
kind
going
of
to be.
thing?
Yeah, they were all going to show up and be character witnesses, and so needless to say, the surveillance video did away with all the character witnesses.
Yeah, I don't think he would want his whole Sunday school class to see those surveillance videos.
And that, unfortunately, there's situations like that, and we'll talk about on the plaintiff side, because I certainly understand his situation. But there's certainly, whenever I talk to my clients about that as well. Now, we did have one, and I remember this one especially. This fella had injured his knees, and said that he couldn't kneel anymore, and he had trouble getting, squatting, like to squat, even to sit down on a chair or getting in and out of his vehicle. Mm-hmm. And so, of course, the insurance company wants to put some surveillance on him.
Yeah.
And we did. And they followed him around for a day or two. And they did catch him kneeling, but they caught him kneeling at the grave of his son.
Oof.
In a graveyard. And,
Ooh.
that was the only time they caught him kneeling. And, of course, that's not footage we're ever going to use.
Well, that's good to know.
That's good to know.
That you at least, have a heart.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, that's not going to play out well for the defense at all. And so, anyway, but you just never know. I mean, who would think that whenever you're visiting the grave of a loved one that somebody's, watching you.
Yeah.
So, that's something to think about. But on the plaintiff side, going back to my little Sunday school teacher,
Yeah.
I had a client, and, she had suffered a bad back injury. She had to quit work as a result of it. And so, I had warned her. I was like, you've got to be careful. They're going to be watching you.
Yeah.
And, so just don't do anything silly. Don't go out there and be Superwoman,
Yeah.
And so one day I'm at the office and she calls and she says, Jackie, I have just come in from working in my flower garden this morning and I am give out. But I wanted you to know that there's been a car sitting in front of my house all day.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
She said, I just kept watching it and it was just sitting there all day. And she couldn't tell who was in it or anything like that. And I said, yeah, that's probably somebody doing surveillance on you. Mm-hmm. And she's been working in her flower garden all day. Mm-hmm. Or all morning. And she said, well, my back is killing me. I have got to go take 2 ibuprofen and lay down. I can barely walk. And I said, see, they're not going to see that.
Yeah.
They're not going to see you barely walking down the hallway and having to go lay on a heating pad and lay down the rest of the day.
Yeah.
They don't have that video.
Yeah.
They've got the video of you out there kneeling and bending over and working in your flower garden, which you love to do. But you can't, because that's what's the jury going to believe?
Yeah.
Is the jury going to believe what they see
Yeah.
or what they hear?
Yeah.
And so, it's just so important whenever you have a claim that you realize people are watching. Mm-hmm. And that insurance company probably spent $1,000 on that PI to watch her that day, and they saved themselves a whole bunch of money in her claim. And doesn't mean she wasn't injured. Doesn't mean she didn't push herself. Doesn't mean she probably did things that her doctor had already told her not to do.
Right.
But she did great damage to her claim that day.
Yeah.
Because of that.
Yeah.
So I have had clients that did listen to me and did very well. Mm-hmm. And once we settled their case, I even had them call me after they settled their case and said, can I go fishing now? It's like, buddy, you can go fishing anytime you want to.
Yeah.
Does it mean that it's not going to hurt his back? Nope. But, just to be in a boat with his sons and fishing and being out there and not having to worry about somebody, judging him because he's in a boat or judging him because he's holding a fishing rod, it just made a big difference. But, it just makes a difference to listen to your attorney, because I'm telling you, it doesn't have to be $1 million case for this insurance company to want to spend $1,000 to minimize your claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll do it every day. They do it every day. So that's definitely stories of the good, the bad, and the ugly of surveillance whenever it does work out, whenever it doesn't work out.
Yeah. But there's also some silver lining
right,
with all these cameras that are around.
Yeah, because you're always on camera.
Yeah.
In this society right now, we used to joke about Big Brother watching you. And
1984.
That's right, that's right. But and maybe it didn't happen in 1984, but there certainly is, between traffic cams and security cams at every store you're shopping. Every store has security cameras now.
Yeah.
Even little mom and pops, they may have the camera. They may not be recording it, but they've got a camera up.
Yeah.
And
security cameras in people's homes.
Absolutely. In people's homes, outside people's homes, things like that. Dash cams. I'm telling you, the number one thing that's going to get you, usually the number one thing that helps your case is a dash cam.
Yeah.
I can settle some big dollar cases with dash cams.
And those also make great TikTok videos.
They do.
Oh my gosh. I'm on that side of TikTok as well. The dash cam car wrecks that happen. Oh my gosh. It's crazy to see what people do out there.
I'm amazed at, in Europe, almost everybody has a dash cam. Mm-hmm. And in America, we just don't have them as much. It's almost an oddity. But we actually have an active case right now that involved a fatality. Our client wasn't the fatality, but there was a fatality in the accident. Mm-hmm. It was a very bad accident involving multiple vehicles. But someone who was not even involved in the accident had a dash cam, he was a witness, pulled over, downloaded the video of how the accident happened, handed it to the officer, who then was able just to see exactly what happened.
Yeah,
and so, and it was a red light, green light kind of thing. So instead of it being a swearing contest about who had the red light and who had the green light, here's the video.
Yeah.
Because not every traffic intersection has traffic cams.
This is true.
We're in Wilmington, North Carolina. Even in this big city with all this traffic,
Yeah.
there's limited traffic cams. Now you know a thing about traffic cams, don't
Oh
you?
my gosh. Are we done talking about dash cams first?
I'm telling you, a dash cam, best investment you'll ever make. Best
Do you have a
investment.
dash cam?
I had one. It died on me. And every day whenever I drive to work and take my life in my own hands, I tell myself, I got to get another dash cam.
Yeah.
But my dash cam died on me.
Maybe that's going to be on my Christmas list this year.
Maybe so.
A dash cam.
Yeah. Installed. I want it installed, by the way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't make me do it.
Don't give it to me in a box.
No, please don't.
You can wrap the empty box and put the dash cam in my car. But yeah, going back to moving on to traffic cams. Oh my God. I opened up my mail a few months ago and it was a ticket. And they said, you did not stop on red. And I'm like, that's not me.
Yeah. I walk in her office and she says, look at this. I'm going to fight this.
Yeah, I'm going to fight this. I stop on red. Why? I would not go in the middle. I do not run red lights. And so luckily it said you were caught by this traffic cam at this intersection. You can go to this website and you can look at it. And here's also the way that you can not refute, but appeal, I guess, the ticket.
Yeah.
And so I go and I watch the video and it's me coming up to the light and it is yellow, but then it turns red before I get to the line. And there's like an incremental pause, but not even much of a pause. It's almost like I barely pressed the brake, but then saw that the other lane hadn't turned green yet, and so I then just turned right really quickly.
Thought you were doing a right on red.
I thought I was doing a right on red, but then I went and read the North Carolina law on right on red, and you have to pause. Because it's not just about the other cars coming. It's about what pedestrians are in the pedestrian crosswalks.
Right.
And I definitely did not pause long enough to look at the pedestrian crosswalk. So I paid the ticket.
Yeah.
I paid the ticket. I'm not going to try to appeal something that I definitely was wrong about. But I'm more careful about right on red.
But the dash cam proved it to you. The traffic cam proved it to you.
Yes.
And it proved to you that you did not stop, you just yielded.
Yes.
It was just a nice yield.
And it was a coasting yield.
Yeah.
So
but there was no stop.
No, there was no stop.
So I was like, no, don't fight that. Just pay it.
Yeah. Luckily, it wasn't much. I mean, it would have been more if I had got stopped by a cop.
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, traffic cams are, we've had them in our cases. A lot of times it was easier to get them even a year ago. Now a lot of agencies are saying you have to subpoena them, and a subpoena them you have to be in litigation. But nevertheless, we do try to get traffic cams whenever we know that there's a traffic camera in that area, because we have had them show our clients accidents so that we can prove fault. And usually that helps expedite a case and getting resolved.
Yeah. But we've got to ask for it soon enough, because at some point they don't hold on to that footage, right?
Well, your municipalities may hold on to it longer than businesses may hold on to, like, security footage and surveillance footage.
Oh, okay. Which we talk about next.
Yeah. So we had a case. One of our fellows got hit he was driving a moped and got hit. He had left work that night and was driving his moped home. So it was dark, had lights and everything, and thank goodness he was wearing a helmet. But whenever after the accident happened, the officer had the wherewithal to go to local homes where he saw that they had Ring cameras, and actually asked people to see if they caught it. And one of the houses caught the accident on their Ring camera.
Wow.
And so, as gruesome as it is, we can see that this lady just plowed into the back of him. You can see his tail lights. You can see he's visible as can be. And of course, she was intoxicated. So she just plows into the back of him. And, that certainly helped with his case as well, having that footage showing he was doing everything right.
Yes.
And she was doing many, many things wrong.
Yes.
And it was just somebody's Ring doorbell camera that we picked up on.
Yeah.
So, like I said, you're being watched everywhere. And we're part of our society now is it doesn't even register anymore, hardly,
Yeah.
because you're being filmed so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was an example of a Ring doorbell, or it was a Ring doorbell cam, but security cameras do the same thing. So what I would tell folks, were there any other cameras we wanted to talk about? Was that it?
I think, yeah.
Are those all the ones? Yeah. Traffic cams, security cams, Ring doorbells, dash cams.
Yeah.
So, so whether it's surveillance or not, the key is to know that you're probably being watched. You can post your own videos on social media.
Yeah.
And you're probably being watched. And by the way, your private social media, here's a news flash. It's not private. It can be discovered. What you add and what you delete from social media, it can be discovered. That's called forensics, and anybody can pull it up.
Yeah.
Anybody with a little bit of money and technological know-how can pull that up and expose you. So the key there is to be careful. Whenever you're out in public, if you've had a claim, just don't try to be Superman. You're not going to be able to come and talk at your deposition about how bad off you are. Whenever yesterday you were out there cutting your grass with a push mower.
Right.
As much as you want to cut your grass, you got to think about it.
Yeah.
What if somebody's watching me?
Yeah.
They're not going to see me go in tonight and take Tylenol PM and go to bed at 6 o'clock. They're not going to see that. And so you've really got to think about those things and think about, who's watching, because this is a society of surveillance all the time, whether it's intentional or unintentional. We are a society of surveillance. I can't say that too many times. I will tongue tie myself.
Okay.
But also be careful about what you put on social media. And
do what the doctor tells you to do.
Yes.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
And yes.
Operate within your limitations. Operate within your limitations.
And sometimes, even whenever you operate within your limitations, you still probably shouldn't post it on social media.
Yeah.
So just be careful about that, especially if you have a case.
Yeah.
But
we had I'll give you one more story.
Okay.
We had a client with a rotator cuff injury. We weren't sure if it was a tear, but it was definitely a rotator cuff tendonitis, and we were waiting for the MRI. And then he has a video of himself. He videotapes himself kayaking up the Intercoastal Waterway.
Oh, no.
Well, a kayak.
That's a workout. That is an upper body workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I enjoy kayaking.
Yeah. And so, once again, we just had to have the chat of, and then he's like, well, I'll take it down. Well, you see, it's already up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can take it down. But if they ever ask for the forensics of your social media, then they'll see that we took it down. I mean, I'm not against taking it down, but we just know that it's been there.
Yeah.
And so you just got to be careful about stuff like that.
Then you seem even more guilty, I think, if you take it down.
Yeah. Why did you take it down?
Yeah.
But once again, you don't know how bad off he was once he, and look, we live in a water wonder world here.
Yeah.
And if you're not on the water, you're just missing out on all the fun things that there are to do here.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to take that into consideration, considering your injuries. And was that the best thing to do?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't a smart move on his part, even though we had talked about things like that. So. Surveillance, always expect it, because believe me, the defense knows how valuable that is. Mm-hmm. And, that's just your lesson for today. I hate to sound like a preacher, but that's your lesson for today. Expect it, because it does garner them. It does help them reduce the value of claims.
Yeah.
Okay?
All right. Well, that was great. A lot of great information, a lot of fun stories.
Mm-hmm.
I always love hearing your stories.
You're so sweet.
You're such a great storyteller.
All right. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Laughter in the Law,
where we talk about the law with a lighthearted twist.